Hello, good evening. Welcome to News Night, coming to you live from the Akwa Bohema studios here at North Ridge in Accra. My name is Ifwa Ando. Coming up in the next 60 minutes. Imminent collapse of Ghana's healthcare system after pharmaceutical manufacturers and importers announced they halt credit deals with regional medical stores over worsening economic situation. The woes of the Ghana cedi deepen as it depreciates further to 14 cedis to the United States dollar, less than a day after reaching 13 cedis on October 19. Meanwhile, government has assured Ghanaians of some relief soon. The Coalition of Public Sector Workers cautions government not to include the Tier 2 pension contributions of workers, which are in government securities, in a debt restructuring program as part of Ghana's IMF program. Plus, food crisis loom in Nigeria as floods destroy crops. Details coming up shortly. Do stay. Pharmaceutical manufacturers and importers have halted credit deals with regional medical stores over the continuous depreciation of the Ghana cedi. According to President of the Pharmaceutical Importers and Wholesalers Association of Ghana, William Ado, the group will return to the cash and carry system. There's more in this report.
To the Pharmaceutical Importer and Wholesalers Association of Ghana, the reversal of the benchmark value has had a dire consequence on their businesses. This has left most of its members cash-strapped in the operations. According to the president of the association, the outfit has withdrawn all of its services to the government and other entity on credit basis.
Absorbing a lot of overhead costs, because somebody goes in for a loan from the bank and is paying 30-something% and also gives you credit in addition. So in a way, the person is financing those institutions.
He further made some recommendation.
If the dollar is stable, at least you are able to plan and decide how much you can absorb and for how long you can absorb that deficit. Here we are, the cedi depreciates. I don't know whether it's per hour or per day. So it makes planning very, very difficult. Most of the institutions, I can tell you, are thinking of suspending sales till they decide when. Because what's the essence of selling something that you can't even import? So already the companies are absorbing a lot. Until when can we sustain this? That's why we've come to the realization that if we are not careful, our companies are going to collapse. So we have to keep things in check. And the only thing we can do to keep things in check, to ensure that just buy what you can afford at a time, so that we are able to sustain our individual.
The cash and carry model makes it compulsory for individuals and facilities seeking medication to pay before receiving them. The aim of this model is to recover operating costs.
Joining me in the studios to discuss this further is the National Vice President of the Private Health Practitioners, Samuel Boakye Donko. Good evening to you. Does this come to you as a surprise? I'm sure that you were listening in and you know what is happening. Your initial reaction?
Thank you very much, and I greet anyone. This is a big blow. Very, very, very big blow to all the health providers in Ghana. Not only the private, but even to the CHAG and to, Ghana Health Service. We are in big trouble. I don't know the day who suffers. The client suffers. The sick person suffers. If they are going cash and carry, then obviously the whole country is going cash and carry. You see, they having a point. They have a point there that the way the economy is, going, the dollar raise and all those, factors. But we are just pleading with them that instead of going cash and carry, for we the providers, they sat down with government. They haven't met us. We are praying. We are just pleading to them that they should come to us, or we should go to them. Let's meet, and then we see how we can resolve this issue. But at the end of the day, it's not the government; it's about the one who is sick. That is the issue. As we sit here, you can be sick, I can be sick. Where are we going? There's no money to buy the drugs for the patients to take. It's a big blow. Now the providers are in big trouble.
Do hold on for me. Let me rope in a ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Minta Akondo, who is joining us on the phone now. Good evening to you. What are your initial reactions to the withdrawal of credits by the importers and local manufacturers to government facilities and other entities?
To be honest with you, I wonder even if I have the courage to appeal to the Chamber of Pharmacy to relook at their decision, because I think that, in all honesty, government has not been fair to them. Let's face it, these are the effect of the deteriorating nature of the economy. You and I know that as of last year, the dollar was selling at around 5.8 Ghana cedis. Now it is even beyond 13 cedis, almost 14 Ghana cedis. Talk about the increment in utility tariffs, talk about the inflation, talk about the interest rate. Almost everything has astronomically increased. Do you understand? And the law is very, very simple on issues of national health insurance. The law is very simple. And the National Health Insurance Fund is one of the most reliable money. Take note that nobody is telling government to go and look for loan to come and pay anything. You and I have paid, we have contributed to this fund upfront. And the law says that within 1 month after the collection of these monies, launch the money into the National Health Insurance Fund for the annual disbursement to the health, service providers. Now, why must it take more than 6 months, in some cases 1 year, for the health service providers to be paid? Let's call a spade a spade. Government is not being reasonable. We speak now. Government owes service providers about 2 billion Ghana cedis. You know, what pains me is that the very citizen, the ordinary Ghanaian who is going to bear the full brunt of this decision, has very less to contribute to this, ameliorating this particular condition or situation. The finance minister, who has every power to launch the money into the National Health Insurance Fund, when he is sick, he will travel to one of the most expensive hospitals. When the president, who has the power to take the decision, is sick, he will not go to hospitals that credit pharmaceutical products from this chamber. That is what hurts me most. But unfortunately, let's be very honest with ourselves. We are not being fair to the service providers in general. Let me give you, some specific examples.
Right.
You know, as at last year, something that you require, for example, if you needed $10,000, you require around 58,000 Ghana cedis to be able to get the $10,000. Today, as I speak to you, you need more than 139,000 Ghana cedis to get $10,000.
Right.
So if I don't have the moral courage to go and sit and negotiate, if government doesn't do it, the intervention must come from government. If that happens, if you're not very careful, you know, there are two main factors when it comes to healthcare delivery: the diagnosis of the sickness and the treatment. And we all know what will happen if government does not take immediate steps. Immediate steps. And this one, the solution lies with government. The money is with government. They have taken it. And so we must all be honest and put pressure on government. Government is holding our money.
Right.
The money does not belong to government. Nobody is telling government to go for loan to solve this problem. We have paid. Where is the money? Let's be honest with ourselves.
Right. Government is not being reasonable, Mr. Minta Akondo. So what do you suggest must be done?
The suggestion is simple, my dear. The suggestion is that we have our monies with government. Government must pay the national health insurance, service providers. That is what it is. So that even if we have to negotiate with them to even take, to pay, to give the products on credit for, let's say, 1 month or 2 months. But you cannot owe the service provider in excess of 6 months, in some cases 1 year. And what are you going to tell the person? That his company must collapse? In as much as I am thinking about the ordinary Ghanaian, in fact, these companies must be running before they will be able to even supply the market. What about if they don't have any money and the companies are collapsed and they cannot even supply? What happens to us? Can you travel outside the country and go and buy your own medications? No. Right. So it's very simple. Government is being unreasonable, and I think that government must be told the truth.
Right. I thank you very much, Mr. Minta Kando. He is the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament. Let me come back to you. I'm sure that you were listening in. What do you make of Mr. Minta Kando's
That is all what he has said.
Right.
In fact, the whole problem is that we, the providers, we owe the pharmaceutical companies a lot of money. And you see, and day in and day out, we keep owing them. We take the medicines on credit. We don't pay simply because NHI do not pay us. That's all. And once we are not paid, there's no way we can pay them, right? And now the dollar keeps rising. That is the biggest challenge. I met them.
Right.
I met them and they gave me this hint. But they told me it will come out on Monday. So we were expecting it on Monday. And this is a surprise because of the dollar. Because this week the dollar has really gone up from 11 to 14.7 as I speak to you now. It's so high. Yeah. So they have to come in there.
But I'm sure they couldn't wait till
government must intervene. Because as I sit here, I can tell you, all private providers under NHI, nobody has a peswa. Because the monies we have with NHI right now, if you pay to me, it's useless. You are not paying February. When you paid me, the dollar was somewhere five cedis. Right. Now it's 14 point something. What will I do with that money? Now, every drug, even including cotton, if they tell you the price, you can't even buy. Yesterday, there was a big meeting at the Ministry of Health. All the stakeholders were on board. Right. Kolibu, all the big guns, we all there. The whole matter was about how we can stop this co-payment and top up so that the ordinary Ghanaian can, go to the hospital. Look at what has just happened. Now they are going on cash and carry. Where the government expects me as a provider to take money? No bank is ready to give us a loan. No bank. And even you will not take because of the interest rate. You won't take. As a businessman or as a provider, you won't take because you don't even know when NHI will pay you. Then you go and pay those. So they won't even give you. You see it now. So we just had a meeting. Way forward to stop co-payment. Today, this big trouble has come. Cash and carry drugs. Where do I get drugs? Right. That means I also go to my facility, and then the patient want to come cash and carry. Maybe I can give you the service, but when they get to drugs, you have to pay. You see, one of the things that government must do, as we provided, we've seen, is that once they can't control the market price and they can't control the city, they should stop the drugs. Let the patient pay the drugs, like UK, right? And they should take only the service, so that the service, that one, it can be maybe at a place for about maybe 6 months before some adjustment. For now, the way the drugs are going up every day, every time, there's no way this co-payment and top-ups will stop. Now we can, all facilities across the country, we can only survive on co-payments, what they don't want, because we have to take the money, then pay the pharmaceutical companies when they bring us a drug. What we need to save life, whether it goes cash and carry or what, we need to save lives. That's the bottom line.
Right. I thank you very much for joining us, Vice President of the Private Health Practitioners, Samuel Wache Donko. Very much appreciate your time. Some members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association are finding it difficult to keep their shops closed despite a 5-day protest announced by leadership over high taxes, amongst others. Metro News' Zoe Anita O'Day reports some shops at the Makola shopping mall were today opened for business because traders claim they cannot disappoint their customers.
Pressure continues to mount on government to fix the economy as the cedi has depreciated badly. Members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, which is GUTA, has embarked on a strike.
Parts of Accra's central business districts, like Makola, appeared empty as protests by members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association against the worsening economic situation took full effect, even though the directive was for the members of GUTA to close down their shops. Some shops are open for business. Theresa has been selling at the Makola shopping mall for decades. Closing down her shop, according to her, will come at a loss.
Interest,
the money I used for my business was loaned to me with no interest, but economy keeps worsening, so I decided not to lock my shop because I have loans to pay. I didn't do this out of disrespect. I really respect GUTA.
She and other shop owners here prefer a dialogue between the leadership of the association and government aimed at easing their plight. Josephine Hammond is the public relations officer of the Makola Tenants Association.
I'm happy about it because when we are talking about the capital that we have to trade is going down and it's worrying us. We can't do anything anymore, because the president sitting on it now is not ready to listen to us. So the only way that we can let him know what the pain that we are going through and what is going on in our life is to go to strike.
Other affected traders also spoke to Metro News.
I think almost 2 days now. We have not opened shop, but it's good. Everything is going on fine. We are not having any issue with people. We don't have any problem with them too.
It's very, very bad. Because almost 3 days now, I've closed my shop. I've been buying in China. So every day, last week, I changed dollar 10 cedis, 70 pesos. Now I'm talking with you. The dollar is 14 cedis. So, what are we doing?
The traders say the harsh economic situation is affecting their businesses and depleting their capital and profit margins. Zoe Anita O'Day, Metro News, Accra.
Now, some Ghanaians have expressed anger over the free fall of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar. The cedi depreciated further to about 14 cedis to the dollar in less than a day after reaching 13 cedis 24 hours ago. Some traders in Accra have been speaking to Metro News.
Their businesses, they've shut down their store simply because the rate is too high for us. And now we don't know what to do, so we are just begging the government to come into our aid, because if the government is not with us, there is nothing we can do. So we are begging the government.
As it stands now, things have become difficult for everyone. I have rent and bills to pay. I even have workers to pay. I couldn't pay my workers, so I've asked them to go home.
Yes, the loan. We cried them the dollar loan.
I personally use dollar loan for business. Within a few days, the cedi has depreciated. It's worrying. I am pleading with the president to come to our aid.
Working with another country's currency won't help us. Let our leaders bring the whole world's dollar. It still won't make any impact to the economy.
Joining us now is an economist and economics lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Godfred Bokpin. Good evening to you. It looks like there's no sign of the cedi slowing down. The currency has crossed the 15 cedi marks. Should we be calm about this situation?
Yes, good evening. Yes, I think the city just doesn't misbehave on its own. It's a reflection of the deteriorating economic fundamentals, and which is also reflecting in the dwindling reserves at the central bank. So when you see the reserves coming down, when you see that confidence in the economy is wounded, trust is impaired, when you see that IMF negotiation is probably not going according to people's timelines, then you know that the city is more exposed. If it happens that way, there will be a lot of speculative activities around the city because people will be mopping up the few dollars in the system, knowing very well that the central bank is powerless in defending the currency. And that's what happens. It gets to a point also, and you realize that because money performs certain basic functions. One of them is as a store of value. So we are at a point where the cedi has more or less ceased to serve one important function, which is a store of value. And therefore, when it happens that way, you will realize that people who have cedis would want to move their money from cedis to a currency that is more stable. And anytime you buy dollar, automatically you are selling cedis. So as a lot more people are demanding dollars, the offsetting position is that they have cedis they are not interested in holding on to, and they are selling.
Right.
And as they are selling and nobody wants to buy, the price will fall.
Now, Prof, how do you think we can stop the free fall of the city?
I think there's a confidence crisis in the system. We are not seeing any action from the government, apart from saying that negotiation with the fund is ongoing and progressing steadily. I think that there's a reasonable understanding that an IMF program alone is not enough. So certain governance reforms, certain reshuffle, you need to do something to signal to the market that certain steps have been taken beyond what will come with an IMF program. And I think that is lacking. So when it happens that way, the market is reading the deeper meaning into it. And therefore, the cedi will probably take a deeper haircut in the next couple of weeks.
Do you think that the finance minister shouldn't be in office, Prof?
I think that my considered view is that he has done his part. We appreciate what he has done, certain difficult decisions that he has had to take. But where we are right now, I think that his continual stay in office is not helpful.
Right.
The market is discounting his leadership. And therefore, that might be an important starting point of real commitment on the part of the president that he's in charge. He wants to do something about what is going on.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, economist and economics lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Godfred Bokman. We very much appreciate your time. The Gamanche Ni Taki Teiko Juru II has urged government to take pragmatic steps to address looming challenges with inflation and the exchange and interest rate. The Accra monarch described the continuous depreciation of the cedi against major global currencies as unprecedented and even more concerning to have it as a key cause of the current woes of traders, hence the need for an immediate intervention.
There is a seeming crisis in our country regarding the exchange rate, interest rate, and inflation that is consuming our capital. We've done it and we've spoken so loudly to the extent that we have to sacrifice our businesses for us to get this engagement we are very proud of, and that we are not doing it out of malice. We have to think outside the box and find a pragmatic solution. And this is what we are demanding. That even when there's a crisis, that's when it brings the best out of people.
We appreciate the fact that things are very difficult. You have an inflation rate of 33.9%. A fiscal deficit of 5.9% of GDP. The cedi is in a free fall against all the major foreign currencies. It's unprecedented. But I know that your stand has become my stand. Because when my people suffer, you suffer. And when you suffer, my people suffer. I'll take a stand with you and meet all the principles of taking decisions on this economy and make sure that this case is addressed.
Thank you.
In this life, you cannot keep doing the same thing and have a different result. Something must change. Saninoko Achake. I'll take a step. Kuni wonyeni wachu nekesa nene hini. Echencho makusema chenye ku. Chano manyaba.
Meanwhile, Eugene Ahin says the president is deeply worried about the harsh economic conditions in the country and has assured Ghanaians of some relief very soon.
Day in, day out, makes it clear that he knows and he understands everything that's going on with respect to the uncertainty within the economy and its effects and the effect it's having on all of us. I mean, during the tour of the Ashanti region, he made it clear that yes, he knows there's difficulty and there's hardship everywhere, but he remains confident that sooner rather than later these hardships would go down. If you look at what currently the raft of measures that are in place, for example, this collaboration, let me put it that way, with the International Monetary Fund and what it's doing, it's all geared towards ensuring that the difficulties subside a bit. And as you said, we are not the only people or the country in the world who are going through these difficulties. We came back from France about a couple of weeks ago when the president was honored with an honorary doctorate degree. And even in Paris, you have queues for fuel. There are protests going on everywhere. And these are not indicative of, let me say, economic mismanagement on the part of government. No, but by what we all know, these twin events, the events of COVID-19 and what is happening with respect to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's having a rippling effect everywhere. So what I'm happy about is the fact that this government has not thrown its hands up in despair and allowing things to go haywire. No. These measures that have been put in place, I'm very, very confident that sooner rather than later, Ghanaians will begin to have a better feel of the economy and not one that is in disarray. But as I said, the president himself understands, he appreciates the difficulty Ghanaians are going through. And as he said all the time, sooner rather than later, we would see the effect of the policy measures that he's put in place to be able to
Facts about the World Cup. An American, Bert Patinot, scored the very first hat trick in the World Cup during the 1930 World Cup. No host country had ever been eliminated during the first round of the World Cup until South Africa in 2010. That's the first fact. The third fact, the World Cup was not played in 1942 and 1946 because of World War II. Now, need to make an urgent call, but you realize you do not have credit, or your very important conversations was cut short because you ran out of airtime. Well, there's no need for all that stress, because all you have to do on MTN is dial star 506 hash, and you get to borrow credit on MTN Extra Time. The best part is you can also borrow data by dialing the same number, star 506 hash, and you can bundle data whenever you run out to continue browsing as always. Your conversations don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. We'll be right back after this break.
We are calling on the president to rescind this decision that the gentleman who is appointed is not qualified by any standard to be the Director General of the Ghana Education Service.
You're welcome back. Good to have you with us. Teacher unions in the country are calling for the immediate removal of the newly appointed Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa. President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers Association, Angel Kabonu, says the appointed GES boss is not qualified for the job.
Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa, now the former director of the Ghana Education Service, was relieved of his post in a letter from the presidency dated October 17, 2022. Dr. Eric Nkansa was subsequently appointed as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. The move by the government has, however, been met with fierce resistance by teacher unions in the country. Angel Kabonu is the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. He claimed the newly appointed Director General is not fit for the job.
The gentleman who was appointed yesterday is not a teacher. He is a banking officer who was a special assistant in the office of the minister and has been appointed as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. We are not happy with this development. It is as if we don't have professionals and well-educated people who have gone through the mill in education in this country to run education. The gentleman who has been appointed is qualified as a banking officer, have done some small stints of teaching with Kumasi Polytechnic those days. When the minister was appointed as minister, he became a special assistant to the minister and do not have any credentials or qualification to be Director General of the Ghana Education Service.
They are therefore calling for the immediate removal of the Ghana Education Service boss.
It is as if we are being told that we educationists in the Ghana Education Service are no good to manage education in this country. We are calling on the president to rescind this decision that the gentleman who is appointed is not qualified by any standard to be the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. Yes, we are calling for his removal. He is not qualified to be Director General of the Ghana Education Service. And his presence will not motivate professionals who have been in this service for more than 20 to 30 years and have risen to higher rank within the Ghana Education Service.
Dr. Eric Nkansa is expected to indicate his acceptance of the role within 14 days.
The Coalition of Public Sector Workers has asked government not to include the Tier 2 pension contribution of workers which are in government securities in a debt restructuring program. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the group explained that such a move could violate the preservation of pension funds under the National Pensions Act 2008, Act 766. There's more in this report.
Debt restructuring is part of Ghana's plan to secure a $3 billion.
We'll bring you that video later. Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, has debunked claims that the President was unconcerned by the demands of people of Kwabre East for development. President Akufo-Addo came under intense criticism when he said he was not frightened by threats from residents of the area that they were not going to vote for the MPP in the next elections if their roads were not fixed. In an interview, Eugene Ahin clarified the President's remarks, adding he means well for his people.
Calling anybody's bluff he was not calling anybody's bluff. The host asked him a particular question, and the response the president gave was to what the host was saying. Indeed, if you look at the package of road constructions that is currently going on in the Kwabre areas and in the Mansu areas, I mean, before the end of this year, I know the Ministry for Roads and Highways would award a contract package, I think, of about 10 kilometers of roads within the Kwabre district and also within the Mansu. I'm not so sure exactly the kilometer, but work is definitely ongoing in these two areas. What the president stated in his response was that I don't think anybody threatening that I will not vote for him should be something that he should be worried about. No. At the end of the day, his focus is to make sure that he delivers. Once he delivers and the road infrastructure is there, and you still decide to go and vote for another party, well, that's your problem. But I don't think the president called anybody's bluff. What he did indicate in the interview was that work is ongoing in all parts of the region. There's no way we can do all roads at the same time. It's not possible. At the end of the day, looking at the national purse and looking at what we have at the moment, we can't do everything at the same time. We have to do it systematically. So if people, as per what the host was saying, will not be patient and wait for their time, then, well, that's fine. But he did not call anybody's bluff.
News night. Up next is Business with Winston Taki.
Welcome back to Newsnight Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to a first business story. Dr. Owusu Efiye is predicting a bumper harvest, suggesting government has made huge investment in the sector. According to him, seeds and fertilizers have been provided to enable farmers produce in large quantities. He was speaking at the AGI Business Forum in Accra.
Farmers are some of the poorest group of workers in this country, dead poor. So if you ask him to buy fertilizer at the market rate, we don't produce fertilizers in Ghana. I'm talking about inorganic. So CIF landed at the port of Tema or Takoradi, and you tell the farmer somebody should go and distribute and sell. Nobody will buy it because you don't have the money. So our strategy was to take money away from you and I, the taxpayer, and share the cost with the farmer. In the case of fertilizer, we said, okay, you pay half, we will pay half. So 50% subsidy. As far as the seeds are concerned, it was even, I would say foolishness, because farmers, in some cases, were giving to them at 90% subsidy. If it was 1 cedi, we tell them, pay 10 cedis. If it was 1 cedi, we say they pay 10 pesos, and the government will pay 90 pesos. And I'm telling you, this has worked like nobody's business. We started a program 2017. We had a 200,000 target. 2021, 2020, when it went to 1.7 million farmers benefiting from the program. And 1.7 million farmers is about half the total number of farmers in this country. I did an agricultural census for the first time in 38 years in Ghana and came up with a figure of 3.1 million farmers. So it means that as far as the food component of the module, we've done only half the farmers in here. It's really half of the farmers in this country. And yet,
now, the International Monetary Fund on Ghana have concluded engagements on Ghana's bailout. The fund says it's fully committed to reaching agreement on a framework and policies for an IMF-supported program as soon as feasible.
Conclusion of a meeting between the fund, led by Stefan Rude, and the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, and other team members. It, however, did not indicate when the framework and policies for an IMF-supported program will be announced. In a statement issued by Stefan Rude, the fund said they made good progress in identifying specific policies that would restore macroeconomic stability and lay the foundation for stronger and more inclusive growth. The IMF team and the Ghanaian authorities remain fully committed to reaching agreement on a framework and policies for an IMF-supported program as soon as feasible. Discussions will continue in the weeks ahead with a follow-up mission to take place expeditiously. It concluded that the Ghanaian delegation and IMF staff had very fruitful discussions on the authorities' post-COVID-19 program for economic growth and associated policies and reforms that could be supported by a new IMF arrangement.
That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. Sports is next after this break. Keep watching.
Good evening, my name is Phil John Quarter and it's time for sports. An Accra Human Rights Court has adjourned the case involving the Ghana Football Association and Ash Gold to 24th of October, meaning the Ghana Premier League remains suspended.
The Ghana Premier League continues to be on hold after the Accra Human Rights High Court sat for a hearing. On Thursday, October 20, 2022, Accra High Court went to a sitting having asked the plaintiff and the accused, in this case Ashanti Gold SC and the Ghana Football Association, to reappear at a court for a hearing. Ashanti Gold SC dragged the Ghana Football Association to a court over the suspension of club president Dr. Kweku Frimpong, CEO Emmanuel Frimpong, and the club demotion to Division 2, having been accused of match manipulations. The court, having listened to both parties, has maintained suspension on the 2022-2023 Bedpower Premier League amidst the growing uncertainty in the football fraternity in the country about when exactly the league will return. Accra Great Olympics head coach Yao Preku and House of Oaks assistant coach David Oklu are adamant their respective clubs will be ready when the league resumes, despite its repercussions on the domestic league.
We're always ready, but we have to be ready. I keep telling them that it can start at any given time, So we have to make sure that we're ready. So I've been preparing them psychologically and then mentally, then physically. We are doing everything. We have no choice than to be ready.
Hearts will be more than ready when the season starts. Very sure.
Court returned for hearing on Monday, October 24th, 2022.
We're still talking about the Ghana Football League. Premier Club Accra House of Oak has appointed Serbian trainer Slavko Matip as their head coach in a 2-year deal. This was announced yesterday in the nation's capital, Accra. The Eastern European says he's ready to serve the Phobians.
He liked to learn. I finished pro license in 2014. I worked in Qatar 5 years, Saudi Arabia, China. I was in Slovenia, 2 teams, Bulgaria, 2 teams, Serbia. And I think for my age I have a lot of experience, and that is very important for our job. First of all, I want to say big thanks for our chairman and all people from the management for this opportunity. Africa is a big challenge, and I coming in a very big club. We want to make a big success. We want to try to find the way to play good football and to have opportunity to give chance to younger players. Also, we want to take the trophies. And as I say, Africa is a big challenge. I coming in a very big club. For me, from today is the best club in the world. What we must do, we must everything what was from today till today, we should be better. We must work hard, we must have teamwork, we must work smart, and we must respect each other. They know also in which club they represent. And a big club, big expectations.
Well, that's your sports. My name is Phil John Quarter. Up next, Showbiz.
Well, it's now time for entertainment. Now, Ghanaian music star Kirani Ayat is out with a new album, Aisha's Son. The album, which has 12 tracks, has only 3 features. Now, Ayat explains why in an exclusive interview on Entertainment Review.
The album to me was also very personal.
Okay.
So I didn't want to dilute it with a bunch of features,
Yeah.
you know. I wanted it to be like, because I was reinventing myself. It was me bringing a new sound to be like, this is my sound and I own it. And if I put a bunch of features on it, it's just going to dilute that process.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to keep the features on the minimal. I had to choose Walasi because, Charlie, why not? He's one of the best we have out here.
Yeah.
And there's this conversation whenever there's like potential Grammy winners for Ghana. They're like, Ayat, Walasi, AI, I can't, you know, it's specific names. And we are both fans of each other. So when the opportunity came, he was, especially for that song, Fadana, I was like, no, the only person I need on this is Walasi. Because even the instrumentals has this sort of ewe feel to it. You can almost dance Agbaja to it. You know? So I was like, yeah, Walasi has to be on it. And when I reached out to him, he was so open. It was even in the pandemic, during the lockdown. He found time. He found time to come to my place so that we would record it and everything. It was really dope. And the other feature was Morel. He's one of the biggest artists in Nigeria. He's a Hausa artist, well-decorated artist. Has song with MI, Ice Prince, like really, really top guy over there. And for him, when I started rapping in Hausa, he be OG. He's already doing that. So when Guda came out, he saw the video and he reached out to me like, yo, I've seen your video and I love what you do. And to me, that was like somebody equivalent to like Jay-Z telling me they've seen my work and they love it because I've already known you, you know. So he reached out to me even first to be like, you seen.
Now, the Nigerian film company Film One Entertainment has confirmed the African premiere for Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be held in Lagos ahead of the film's anticipated historic release.
The premiere in Africa of the much anticipated sequel to Marvel Studios' Black Panther is expected to be held in Lagos, Nigeria. The event christened Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be held by the Walt Disney Company in association with African International Film Festival and Film One Entertainment. In a statement by Film One, the premiere will be held in early November ahead of the global release on the 11th of the same month. Moses Babatope and Kenny Okota, co-founders of Film One Entertainment, official distributors of the movie in English West African territories, disclosed that being instrumental to the release of Black Panther Wakanda Forever in West Africa is a proud achievement and a milestone for us and the entire Film One team. It will be celebrated for a long time.
Well, that's it for entertainment news on Newsnight. My name is Harriet Addy. Thank
you very much, Harriet. Up next is international news.
Across Africa's most populous country, communities and crops of sorghum, maize, rice and vegetables are underwater, with farmers and aid workers warning of a possible food crisis. The country, home of more than 2 million people, was already grappling with high inflation and worrying level of food insecurity. Malawi has discovered a mass grave in the north of the country containing the remains of 25 people suspected to be migrants from Ethiopia, police said on Wednesday. Police were alerted by villagers in the Mzimba area, about 250 kilometers north of the capital, Lilongwe, who stumbled on the grave while collecting wild honey in the forest. A new leadership contest will take place within a week to decide who replaces Les Truss, Graham Brady, and Conservatives officials responsible for the process. This announcement was made in the early hours of Thursday when the Prime Minister resigned.
And that's how we end Newsnight. My name is Ifwa Ando. Have a good evening.